You guys absolutely loved my holiday treats video from last year. So we are gonna do another one. I've got plenty here for you. I think most of these, if not all of these, are no bake. I don't know how you guys typically use these holiday treats. If you let me know in the comments, do you give them out as gifts? Because you can get these really awesome cookie tins, treat tins at the Dollar Tree, and they make great gift ideas, especially for maybe your husband that heads to work, or neighbors, or church friends. Another way, obviously, that you can use them is just to have a nice dessert spread or treat spread when you have different people over. But let me know in the comments, what is your most common way that you use this kind of stuff? My love runs really deep for shortbread cookies. These no-bake Millionaire shortbread bars, yes please. Obviously you can make your own shortbread, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna use the shortbread cookies, but I have to eat a little bit because they're so good. Okay, I don't have a food processor, so I'm really hoping this works because my blender does have a food processor blade. We're gonna try it and see what happens. I'm cutting this recipe in half because, guys, I'm making, it's like 7 or 8 desserts today, and y'all, we just don't need 7 or 8 desserts here, let's be real. I am gonna be giving the majority of these away. But as always, I will have the recipes posted in the description box. Don't fret, you can double, you can triple, you can cut in half, you can do whatever works for your family. We're gonna take all of these shortbread cookies and add them here into my blender cup and hope this works. And I am going to pulse these and process them like a food processor would. This is 5 ounces of cookies. I actually think it would be better to start with my regular blade. Then when I want to really finely chop it, I'll go to the other blade. I actually think we did pretty well for ourselves considering we don't have an actual food processor. Note to self, it took a little longer, but it works in a blender cup too. So if you're like me and you don't have a food processor, it's totally okay. So because I'm cutting this recipe in half, I just melted about 3.5 tablespoons of butter for the full recipe. Obviously that means that you would want 7. Now let's just try and get this out. There we go. I'm mixing in the melted butter, and we're gonna make a nice mixture with this. Honestly, I'm pretty sure that I started with the most complicated recipe that we're making. So that should tell you right there, this is pretty easy considering this one's pretty easy. So none of these are gonna be that hard. I mean, as if shortbread wasn't already so delicious and now you add butter to it, all right. I'm using a smaller pan. Obviously, you would probably use an 8x8 baking dish, or if you're doubling, then a 9x13. So while I press this in, I had asked you guys on my community post and then also over on Instagram, while I was baking today, I would answer some of your questions. So if you had questions for me, to submit them. One of the first questions was funny. Well, funny, but also one of you answered it for me, which is so perfect because it just goes to show how well you guys already know me. The question was, why do you not cook with onion? Do you not like it? Is it a texture thing? Something like that. And the answer is, I actually like onion. My husband does not like onion. It's the texture of onion, it's not the taste. I do not like it when dishes make that noise on the counter. Okay. There we go. My husband doesn't like the texture of onion, cooked or raw. It doesn't matter. It's a texture thing, but it's not the taste. He doesn't mind the taste at all. He is actually open to shallots, which are a great replacement, and green onion has been another one that we've used a lot more regularly. All right, let's set this to the side. And we need to actually move over to the stovetop for the next step. For the caramel layer, we're using 3 tablespoons of butter. My heat is on medium-high because we do have to bring this up to a boil. I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. This is light brown, just for reference. Obviously use whatever you love. And I'm adding in 1/2 can of sweetened condensed milk. Which, if you've ever only tried to add 1/2 can of this to something, it's not easy. So this is probably the most challenging part of the recipe, to be honest. So as you can see here, it is boiling. We're stirring occasionally to make sure that we don't get any burning or anything like that. My heat is actually on a medium low at this point, and it's still cooking really well. We are gonna let this go for a few minutes because the goal is that we're looking to thicken it up a bit. Let's go all the way to low because we got the boil already. So now it's just the thickening process. So I'm stirring frequently. I want to make sure this doesn't stick to the bottom, get burnt, anything like that. You can start to see this is definitely starting to thicken up, which is what we want. It's happening. All right, I'm actually really liking where we are. So I'm gonna pull this off of the heat completely, and then we'll add it to the base layer that we made. Ooh, that sun is coming in at just the right angle. We're gonna take the caramel and pour it all over this shortbread layer. Okay, let's just spread it out a bit. And you want this layer to harden before you do the chocolate layer, which goes on top, because otherwise when you pour your chocolate layer on the top, it's just gonna mix together with the caramel. And this is kind of a layered bar, so that's not your goal here. That's not what you want. I'm gonna put this into the refrigerator, or you can do the freezer, whatever you wanna do. Let it harden up, and then we're gonna come back and add the chocolate layer. I just checked the caramel layer and it is almost ready. I've got some I've got some semi-sweet chocolate chips here, and because we're cutting this recipe in half, I need about 3.5 ounces or so. So we're gonna use the scale. Let me tell you, you can do this in the microwave. You do not have to do this on the stovetop. I'm adding about 1/2 tablespoon of butter, and we're just gonna melt this together, and that's gonna be our top layer. I ended up going with the microwave method because I don't know what the deal is, but ever since getting a gas range, I have a really hard time melting chocolate. And I know it's because the heat is too high, but it's like I can't get the heat right. So anyway, we melted the chocolate in the microwave, same process. You can add liquid to it if you feel like milk or something like that, if you feel like it's a bit too thick, and just continue to melt. So now we're gonna add that melting chocolate all over the top. And because it's cold, I want to move pretty quickly because it's gonna start to harden. So we're just creating that chocolate layer on the top. And then we're gonna put this back into the refrigerator and let that chocolate layer harden up. All right, these $1 million bars look amazing, but I need like the smallest piece because I have a lot of stuff to try. So I cut these into big squares, and then I actually cut them into even smaller squares, and I do think the smaller squares are probably better. Also, these are not gonna soften up completely, but I do think it might be a good idea if you want them to stay nice and hard to keep them in the refrigerator. I've had these out for about 30 minutes or so, and the caramel is not softened, but it's like you can squish it down if you really press. That's like a terrible way to explain it, but I don't know the better way to say it. There's a reason why that's called $1 million bar. That is very good. Super sweet, really, really sweet, obviously, based on everything that's in there. This is the proper serving size, okay? The smaller way that I cut it is definitely the way to go, but wow. That shortbread on the bottom gives the perfect amount of, not even so much a crunch, but crust, that soft, gooey center. And then you have that top layer of chocolate, which is so perfect. These are good. Speaking of holiday, as we're here making all of these treats, let me know in the comments, have you started your holiday shopping yet? Are you the person that waits till much later, or are you the person that you're way ahead on all of this? I'm actually getting ahead on all of the busyness of the season with a really great offer from Osea. These two gifts right here. Osea is a clean, vegan, cruelty-free, seaweed-based skin and body care brand. They developed these limited edition holiday sets, which are so perfect as gifts. The Undaria Body Best Sellers is a perfect gift. This set includes the Undaria Algae Body Butter, which is clinically proven to hydrate the skin for up to 72 hours. It feels so soft and silky on the skin. And then in that set, you also get the Undaria Algae Body Oil, which instantly improves the look of your skin and offers a healthy glow. Separately, these would be $110, but in this set, you get it for $72. Plus, you can stack my discount code on top of that and get an additional 10% off. The other collection is a 6-piece bestsellers mini collection. It's also perfect if you have been wanting to try out these products so that you can find your own personal favorite. And if you already know what your favorites are, let me tell you, this right here is perfect for travel. I've already taken all of the pieces and added them to my toiletry bag for when we travel because I already know I love all the stuff and they're the perfect size. The set includes the Ocean Cleanser, the Hyaluronic Sea Serum, Atmosphere Protection Cream, Salts of the Earth Body Scrub, Andaria Algae Body Oil, and the Anti-Aging Body Balm. This set is $118 value, but it's selling for $78, which is a 29% saving. And again, you can stack my discount code on top of that. You can get 10% off of your order with my code Amber Holiday and get ahead on your holiday shopping. I totally lied to you guys at the beginning when I said that all of these are no bake. There are some ones that bake, they're just easy bake, okay? We're gonna take some flour and put this on our countertop. We are making these sort of like a Russian cookie, but not, okay, we're not gonna call it Russian cookie, y'all, because it's very, very simplified, okay? We are making powder puff cookies, let's call them that. I have pie crusts right here. So we're gonna roll out one pie crust. These have been in the refrigerator, not the freezer, because I wanted to make sure that they were ready. Now I'm gonna use my, oh, it says it unrolls without creases. I guess if you thaw it all the way. I'm gonna use my pizza cutter to cut this into around 16 sections or so. Some of them might be a little wimpy, so we may have to make adjustments. This is not 16, I counted wrong. I'm done thinking today. That's what the problem is. You know what? We're gonna do a different recipe because the other recipe I was planning requires you to make lines in your pie crust. So we are changing this one, start over. You need to flour your surface and you're gonna roll out a pie crust. We're gonna cut this into strips. This is such an easy treat that you can give away to people or you can serve on a charcuterie board. So many fun things to do with this. You can actually go about it 2 different ways. Cut strips into our pie crust. So we're gonna do 2 separate things here. This one's gonna be for a different recipe. We're just using these twists. I'm gonna take some melted butter, just, come on, put some melted butter on each one of these. I'm not even sure you can call this an actual treat because it takes such little effort. They're really pretty if they're displayed inside of a cup. Or like in a, I'll show you, on a charcuterie board or something, you can make a chocolate dipping sauce to go with these. Really awesome. Or they're just so delicious to add to a little treat cup or something. They're really good. Some of them are gonna be thicker than others. I didn't do a great job cutting here. Take some cinnamon sugar and sprinkle cinnamon sugar all over these, okay? Like a good amount of cinnamon sugar. Fold over, twist, and put on your baking sheet just like this. What I like to do is put the twist down so that it will hold its shape. I'll show you. So again, fold over. This one is much thinner than that one. Twist, press the twist down and it'll hold its shape like that. I mean, you can twist more if you want. You might risk breaking the dough, so I'm careful not to twist too much. This one probably could though because it's skinnier. Yeah, see, you can play around with these, make them however you want. I like to just take some of that melted butter and just lightly brush the edges of this because it just adds a little more buttery goodness and it will add to that pretty brown color that it'll get when it bakes. Okay, now these don't take very long in the oven, but before we bake these, I'm gonna make one more thing. You guys will see that here. So we made the twists, now we're gonna make pinwheels. It's basically the exact same recipe. You are just going to, they're shaped differently, okay? So it just depends on what you want. I actually really like the pinwheels and I've made this on my channel before in a pie crust video. If you would like to see that and get more ideas for a pie crust, I have that video linked right here so you guys can see it. Okay, so we brushed that with some butter. Now we're gonna take some cinnamon sugar. Same thing, just coat the whole thing in cinnamon sugar. If you don't get it on your counter, you're not doing it right. I'm gonna just roll. Now I usually use a serrated knife because then you can cut it easier. Now your end ones are not gonna look quite as pretty. They're gonna look like this, the tail's gonna fall off. I mean, you can cook them because they're still good and you can eat them. But typically if I'm making something for someone else, I don't serve that one. I just let that one go. So I like to cut them maybe a ½ an inch thick or so. See, they get prettier the closer you get to the center. I love these, you guys. They're perfect with some coffee, so good. Now, obviously you can make a ton of these if you want to. You don't have to just make a small amount like I'm doing. For the pinwheels, I'm just gonna do the same thing, top with a little bit of melted butter. Just helps with that really pretty color when they're baking. Now, like I said, we are preheating our oven to 450 degrees since we changed the recipe that we are doing right now. And we are going to bake these for about, it takes like 8 to 10 minutes, sometimes 12, just depending on your oven, but I always watch them right around the 8-minute mark just to see how we're looking. These are so easy, you guys. So easy. So these little pinwheels, they're so cute and so fun. I'm just gonna taste a little piece. We've made these before and we love them. They are flaky, they are cinnamony and sugary and buttery, so good. These are perfect if you just need a little something to serve that's not super sweet, but that is gonna add great flavor to a holiday treat table. I'm actually not even gonna taste the cinnamon twist that we made because they taste exactly like the pinwheels, it's just in a different shape. So honestly, even if you're doing a couple different things, how easy is that? It's the exact same thing, but they look different, so it kind of makes it seem like you made more stuff, right? This is such a cool idea. I love these. We've made these before and served them on a dessert charcuterie board. Love them, so good. Same thing, flaky, crusty, cinnamon, sugar, not too sweet. These are a great addition to holiday treats. All right, round 2 on the non-Russian cookies. We're going to flour our surface again, and I'm gonna roll out this other pie crust that I have. So we're trying to get 16 pieces. So I'm going down the middle, to the side, to the side. Okay, so that makes 4. That is not even, but roll with it, okay? We're going down the middle again, side, and the side. Okay, this one's obviously not gonna be big enough, but I might be able to combine it with that one. We're gonna take these Hershey's Kisses. I actually really wanted the Hershey's Kisses that have the caramel in the center. That's what I was looking for, but I couldn't find them. These are Milkalicious. You could use any type of Hershey Kiss you want. So maybe you wanna do candy cane because it's Christmas style, or maybe if you can find the caramel version, you could do that. You could do the ones with almonds in the center. I mean, you know, you do it however you want. My oven is currently preheating to 350 degrees. We're just gonna take a kiss and put it in the center of each one of these. Now, one of you asked me, have I always been a Christian? Was I raised in a Christian home, or is that something that came in my adult life? I was actually raised in a Christian home. So yeah, that's something that I was raised in, but I definitely found that it was probably at the end of college and then right around the first and second year of being out of college that I made my faith my own. That I really found my faith journey was not dependent on my mom or my grandma or, you know, extended family members and stuff. And it really became my own, and it really became so near and dear to me as opposed to just standing on somebody else's faith. Okay, I do think we'll be able to get one out of that other, but I'm gonna start with the ones that have the right amount of dough. So we're basically just gonna fold the dough up and around the Hershey's Kiss, and then we're going to kind of flatten it out so that it's more shapely, I guess. I'm gonna try and even roll it a bit. So I'm trying to make it just like a ball shape. I have a parchment lined baking sheet over here. We're just gonna repeat this process for each one of these, pinching all the seams together, kind of pressing in between my hands, getting those seams kind of, what would you call it? Not melted, but softened, and then roll. These are going into a 350 degree oven that is preheated for 15 to 17 minutes. We are gonna start watching them at the 13-minute mark just to make sure that they don't get overdone. So we'll see about these. I don't know how well all these seams are gonna stay shut. We'll give it a go. These have been cooling for about 15 minutes after coming out of the oven. I'm gonna add some powdered sugar into this little bowl, and we're gonna roll these around. Now, let me just tell you, okay, I did not work really super hard on making sure that all of the seams are pressed, which is why they look like this. Highly suggest you do that because they'll look prettier. Take each one of these and just roll it in powdered sugar I added a good amount of powdered sugar to this bowl here. Also, I mean, this is gonna cover up the fact that the seams were not perfect. I also do not have any bowls that aren't white. So here I am putting these white cookies in this white bowl, and you guys know how much I love color. So let's cut one of these little Hershey Kiss cookie things open and see what it's like on the inside. Oh my goodness, look how cute. You have the Hershey Kiss in there. Mine even has a little bit of different dimension because it's got the Milkalicious or whatever it was that's at the center of that. Okay, I'm gonna try it. I felt like there was gonna be powdered sugar all down the front of me. This is really good. It's not quite as soft as a Russian cookie, but the flavor is very, very similar. But then you get the inside there where you have that hint of chocolate, and it's just really unique. I really like this one. I'm pleasantly surprised. This is actually one that when I was making it, I was like, I feel like this is gonna be good. I'm not a huge chocolate fan. I like chocolate, it's fine. You guys know I prefer savory over sweet any day anyway. So that's why I really like these Pinwheels and stuff, because they're not super sweet. This one is not super sweet either. Now with dark chocolate, I'd be all over some dark chocolate in this. That's actually really good, you guys. You need to try this one. We are going to make these chocolate croissant cookies, okay? So I have a puff pastry here, and I had this in the refrigerator, not in the freezer, just FYI. I actually only wanna use half of this, so I am gonna cut it in half, and then I'll roll it back up, and it's gonna go into the freezer. And then I can use the rest of this for a different recipe. Now, I'm gonna take this and cut it, I need 4" by 2" pieces, basically. So we're gonna cut down the middle, and then let's do the middle here, here, here. Okay, so they're approximately even, they're not perfect. But we are going to take a Hershey's bar or just a chocolate bar. You can use whatever kind you want. I think dark chocolate would actually be really delicious with this. We're gonna break it into pieces. I'm gonna take the Hershey's bar and wrap it up in the croissant like so. We're gonna end up just transferring this entire parchment paper over to my baking sheet, but that's it. I'm just rolling it up just like this, okay? I'm gonna do seam side down. You can make them smaller if you want, so your chocolate kind of hangs out the side of them. That's totally fine. I mean, obviously you guys see I'm moving pretty quickly on these, so I didn't make it exactly perfect. Now, let's transfer this to a baking sheet. I'll just spread them out a bit. Also feel free to make your own homemade puff pastry. This was just the really easy way to go. These are gonna bake on 350 degrees for about 18 to 20 minutes. They're gonna puff up, and then we're gonna let them cool for a minute and put something else on the outside. I am waiting on one thing to come out of the oven before we put these in there. So let me answer another question. Someone asked me, what is your 2 things that you have to have at a Thanksgiving table? Like your 2 favorite dishes? And if you're watching this before Thanksgiving, check out this video right here, because y'all, the best Thanksgiving sides we have ever had. Unreal. Now, if you're watching this after Thanksgiving, you should also check out that video, because every single one of these sides would be delicious for Christmas as well. So one thing that I absolutely love is green bean casserole, but I feel like I'm the only one in my family that thoroughly enjoys green bean casserole. So I love to have that at a Thanksgiving table, but it's usually a very small portion that we make, and I just eat that on my own. Let's see, another one is, I just want all the carbs. I love carbs. I'm also a huge fan of sides. I also love root vegetables. I wanna see a potato, but the one thing that I think of is that green bean casserole. You guys, I was just talking away and I completely forgot a step in this. So they've only been in the oven for like 2 or 3 minutes. We're gonna quickly see if we can fix this. You need to whisk an egg, creating an egg wash, add a little bit of water. Okay, now we need to just brush the egg onto each one very quickly and get them back in there. You can also top with some coarse sugar at this point too. Man, I was just talking away, not even thinking, but this is gonna give it that beautiful sheen. As you can see, I'm moving quickly. Top with some sugar, top with some sugar. Let's get these back in there. Okay, now obviously some of these little croissant things are much prettier than the others. They're all a little different sizes, but I've just melted some drizzling chocolate. I just melted it in the microwave for just a couple of seconds, and we're just gonna drizzle. I'm not great at this part. I don't wanna use all of my chocolate because I have another recipe and I only got one bag. I don't know what I was thinking, and I don't wanna go to the grocery store. Now we just let this chocolate harden on the top, and then we can serve these up. Obviously, some of these turned out prettier than the others. The concept is really cool, and I think they are really good for even a dessert night with friends or whatever. I don't know how well they would go into like a travel tin if you're giving them away. I think everything else that we made goes really well into a travel tin. Okay, so you take them, break them apart. I mean, it's kind of like what do you call it? A croissant, like a hazelnut croissant or a chocolate croissant or something like that. I mean, obviously it's a puff pastry with chocolate in it. That's exactly what it is. It's so good. I love a croissant. I don't care if you put savory stuff in it, sweet stuff in it, anything. So this one right here, this is me. This is all me. It's so good. It's not overly sweet. It's not overly doughy, in my opinion. I think my husband would say it's too overly doughy because he doesn't love croissants. It's very good. It's a mini version of a croissant. I think these are perfect. On this, somebody just sent in the question, how is school going for the kids and for you this year? Well, if you had asked any other day but today, I would have said school is going great. We have our days. As with any day, you know, you're gonna have good days and you're gonna have bad days. Today was not our best day, but honestly, for the most part, school is actually going really well this year. The overall, it's going awesome. The kids are doing really well. They're getting into the groove of things. Yeah, it's actually been going really well this year, and we are thoroughly enjoying it. Hope that you get to make some of these during the holiday season. Let me know in the comments which one you're gonna make first, because I need to know. I need to know which one you think you would love the most, and which one maybe you think that you would, maybe which one you think you'd want to give away to somebody else, because man, I mean, they can't just all sit here, right? Our verse today comes from Psalms 25:5. Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God, my Savior, and my hope is in you all day long. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you need more inspiration, if you want to see more holiday treats, I highly suggest that you check out the video that I have listed above. You guys have been loving that one. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Have a great week.